Hey guys, it's Deconic here, and in this video, I want to briefly go over a couple of things. One, I want to go over, my updates on what I've done this league starting skeletons. It's been quite the journey. I've made a couple alterations to the POB based on things that have felt good and things that haven't. I would also want to cover, possible upgrade paths and where I'm at, things like that. So starting out, first and foremost, I would say, um, unlike last league, this league I decided to try out Necromancer, the tankier version of the build, to see just how tanky it could be, and I have to say I'm very impressed by how tanky it is. And yes, we give up damage because we're not going occultist, but we also eat a lot more damage. Like when I say a lot more, I'm doing a lot of harder content than my build should be able to do just because of how tanky it is. I was doing T16 maps when I was still on like elemental skeletons, and it was nuts. I would say it's not ideal by any means, but it was nuts. So first and foremost, let's go over the progress and how things went from day one to now. Time of recording, this is like day 4 or day 5 of Crucible League. Firstly, my thoughts on Crucible League is that it's pretty tough, and at least it's difficult. You can get randomly one shot a lot. It's you before you have Blessed Rebirth, keeping your minions alive through like juice, like even decently charged up crucibles is hard. It's pretty hard. So be careful with that if you're using this build. After day 1 of uh playing this league, I was able to get out of acts. I was in maps. I hadn't quite gotten my skeleton mages yet. I hadn't gotten a 20% summon skeleton by the time I hit maps. So I was still on melee skeletons essentially. And one thing I noticed, and I would like to say, is if you do not have a 5 link, I don't think it's advisable to use skeleton mages. And the reason being is you have so many utility so many utility gems that you just would not do damage if you have like a 4 link. Like you can make it work with like a 4 link would have volley, you'd have pierce, and you'd have spell echo. This would be your 4 link. This are probably your most important mage gems, and minion damage comes after. But I would recommend keeping away from mages. Melee skeletons can work. Melee skeletons surprised me by how far it took me, because I was able to get all the way to like yellow maps with melee skeletons. They pulled their weight, and it really surprised me. One more thing I also noticed is like during Act 1, when you're on 3 links and you want to use skeletons, if you want to use skeletons, because again the recommended is SRS, skeletons is not, but if you do want to use it in Act 1, I think instead of getting minion damage as the 3rd link, I think minion life is leagues better than it. Just the fact that at some point your skeletons are so weak that anything that makes them last longer is just a DPS boost in and of itself. So you would want skeletons, melee splash, and minion life up all the way up until you get a 4th link. Then you can add minion damage among other things. But like, you want them to at least be tanky. Maybe once you get sacrifice and you've gotten like skeleton numbers, you can then decide to maybe like you have your bone offer, you can decide to remove the minion life. But early on you definitely want that, because when you have a skeleton that has 40 life, a breeze in the wrong direction from a mob will kill it essentially, and you don't have Blessed Rebirth. So you have to you just have to go health. Another things I've been trying out that I'm surprised by how good they are is in the tree. I am currently using skills cost life of 30% of mana cost. This, coupled with how much reserve mana we have, actually helps so much in just pure quality of life. And currently I'm using a tabula rasa. I'm using tabula rasa, so I'm currently using a max life. I will remove this once I remove tabula rasa. This is just a temporary node, if you will. I still plan on getting the recover 5% of energy shield when you take this. But this I plan to not spec into until I have Aegis Aurora. On that note, things to note about the build I don't think I covered. These nodes that have on life on kill or mana on kill, you want to stay away from them until you have poison, because the reason you gain so much life and mana on kill is because if the poison kills them, it counts as your kill. So going poison mages would give you a lot of life and a lot of mana on kill, and that is the real like oomph to it. While you're on elemental mages or physical skeletons, you might not want to get these nodes unless you just really like the mastery we're going for here, which is every 3 seconds consume a corpse to recover 10% of life. I will be getting this one soon now that I've switched to poison skeletons. And on the note of poison skeletons, the upgrade path I use for poison skeletons personally was something along the lines of United in Dreams is bloody expensive. Covenant's bloody expensive. I didn't expect them to be this expensive, but they are. They're bloody expensive. They're like, at time of recording, I think they're like over 4 dev for the Covenant or something, and for the United in Dreams, and then Covenant is like 6 dev, 8 dev or something like that. I forget the actual prices, but they are very expensive. So what I did instead to spec into poison, and I expected the damage numbers to actually be less, but it's surprising by how good it actually is at this point. But what you can do to combat this these bloated numbers are I got a Severed in Sleep. This gives me wither chance on hit, which is really good. But the main reason we want to get this is envy. Withered is really nice, but envy is your bread is really what we need from this weapon. So I have Severed in Sleep, still have generosity. I plan to put despair once I have charisma on my amulet, but I don't, so I'm leaving that. Then you want to add a chance to poison support for your skeletons to give it 40%. So this gives 40%. You want a darkness and throne with at least 75%, and then you want at least 12% poison chances in here. This gives you 42%, if I remember correctly, chance. So that leaves us at about 82% chance to poison. So we just need ghastly eye jewels in the tree to make up the remaining 18%. So I just have an 11% here and an 11% here, and that gives me 100% poison chance. That is how I spec'd into poison, and it felt really good. This was like 20 C at the time I bought it, which is like yesterday night. This was like 20 C. This was 20 C. The gems all together, they cost about I didn't get chaos added the flat chaos damage on them, so they actually cost like 10 C each, 11 C, so like roughly 40 C. So total I spent like 80 C to get everything, which is less than a divine right now. So it wasn't break bank budget to spec into poison. And of course, upgrade orders include things like switching from a Severed in Dreams into United in Dreams. One of my next steps is going to be this, switching from a Tabula Rasa to a Covenant is going to be really good. I might also just switch to a 3-3 link, like a 3 blue 3 green chess piece that has stats, because I think I'm going to be on this linking for a minute. I think I'm going to be here for a while, so I think getting a 3 link blue 3 link green would be good. Before I had chance to poison, that was on elemental, so it was elemental focus that was here, I believe. Yeah, elemental focus was there. And of course despair is currently linked to our Arcanist brand, but in the late game we're going to be putting it here for blasphemy, and then temporal chains will take its place here. So temporal chains will be procced by Arcanist brand, while blasphemy procs despair, just because of so we don't have reservation issues, because we do use quite a few reservations, and right now I currently have tempest shields just to get spell block chance, which, and of course immunity to shock, but the spell block chance is big for our survivability. We're trying to get 75% spell block chance and block attack chance, which we don't get till we get actually Aegis, but for now we're currently sitting at like 40 something percent with bone offering and bone offering, wishes of sacrifice, and increased effect. Oh, I don't have increased effect of offering. I should be getting that soon, but yeah, increased effect of offering would be going here. Actually, now that I'm here, let me just spec it out a bit because I just realized I don't need to penetrate elemental resist anymore. So let's get this instead. Anyways, what else? Let's head into the POB to go over the numbers in terms of what you call it, the Necromancer kind of looks like, right? There we go. Okay, so this is the Necromancer page. Of course, this is why I decided to try the Necromancer, because I saw this effective hit pool and I was like, I got to try it. The reason we have this effective hit pool is we took off glancing blows, which was a good hit pool increase, and then we added we tried to cap spell block chance. So we have a lot of spell block here. Of course, we don't go for this one, which is something I'm going to spec out of in my tree just because of what I said. You know, mana on kill, you want to save it when you have poison. The tree, the upgrade parts are vastly going to be the same. The difference is in terms of aura. You want, with the Necro, you want to have temporal chains on your Arcanist brand, and then for that extra or reservation slot, you want Tempest Shield to take its place for spell block. And just in case you think Aegis Aurora is like giving inflated numbers, yes, I know POB has issues with Aegis Aurora giving inflated numbers, but it's hard to not include blocks when you need blocks. But even without this, we still have a hit pool of 129k. I wish it calculated a lot better, but we just have to make do with what we have. 600k is probably inflated. We're probably looking at something maybe 400k, I think, if I remember correctly, something along those lines. But anyways, another thing to note about POB is this full DPS. I know it looks low, but the reason it looks low is we're currently using faster projectiles. That doesn't affect POB's numbers. We use vicious projectiles. This actually does, and I think I've explained why we go for vicious projectiles as opposed to unbound ailments, just because we want to blow mobs up. This has more upfront damage. This makes poison last longer, which is not ideal for mobs. It's good for bossing. You want to switch to this for bossing, but for mobs you want to leave this. Spell Echo doesn't affect DPS numbers. Volley doesn't affect DPS numbers. Pierce doesn't affect DPS numbers. So this is the reason you see like low DPS numbers here, as opposed to like other builds that don't use these projectiles. Like if I had to go unbound ailments, take this off, go void manipulation. Look, the numbers are already like 5.7. But speaking of which, I wanted to explain faster projectiles. Currently, the working theory is these projectiles will return to the caster, the skeleton mage, 60% of the time. So this is a 60% more modifier essentially for skeleton mage, which is like the biggest we can actually have among everything, even minion damage. So that's why we're going faster projectiles. That's the idea. If this doesn't work with minions, then I would switch this away from the POB and I'll go back to the previous setup. But I wanna try it first, and I haven't been able to get it on my character, so I'm working on getting that too. Aside that, I think that's pretty much it for the changes. We have Vow Breach here, which is a new gem I just found out exists, which is big. And what this does is it allows you to create breaches on command. So like in bosses, you can use Vow Breach. Now this would have some charge up time, but essentially what it does is if you use Vow Breach and you use your Vow Summon Skeletons, what you can do is you can refill your flasks because you're killing mobs, which means your Soul Ripper would be filled full once you use your Vow Breach. But the reason we do it is we get souls for Summon Skeletons when we kill them. We fill the flask, so we can then use Vow Summon Skeleton, then we can use the flask. Then once you use your Vow Breach, you use your flask while this is on soap game prevention. It fills up your Summon Skeletons again, and you use that. The only problem with this, and this is still subject to change because I might still remove it, is this requires 100 souls to use, and Val skills share their souls. You get X amount of souls in a boss fight, it shares it. So this I haven't tested. I would like to see what it feels like. It might feel bad to use because of it's excessive amount of souls, and it might just not be worth it. But it's something I want to try to see how it works. So I just included it here just for now. And if you open the POB and it's not there, then I tried it and it just felt awful. It's what it means essentially. Um and then I wanted to cover things you could decide to spec into optionals. So like I said, I spec into like life with no mod because I was using a tabula rasa. If I didn't have a tabula rasa, my chest would have life, so I wouldn't have this. This is good quality of life. I liked it. I like how it feels. Do keep in mind that the covenant also gives you life cost, so just keep that in mind that this would also increase life cost. And but I don't think you would actually feel the life cost when you cast skills and whatnot. I think that about covers all the changes I made in terms of the Necromancer. Um, we are no longer specking into Whisperer of Doom with the Necromancer because, like I said, we only need one curse. Actually, what am I saying? If we're gonna use temporal chains, we'll need Whispers of Doom. So we're just not gonna bother with temporal chains. Is what I meant to say. I forgot I took this off. So we are actually not gonna bother with temporal chains. We're just gonna use Despair and keep pushing essentially. With the Necromancer at least. With the Occultist, let me look at the Occultist. The Occultist still uses it, so you still want to have temporal chains. If you want to have like, I don't think you can have max spell block chance on the Occultist because of the nature of you need Mistress of Sacrifice to do it with the way I have in mind. And the two ideal ascendancies you would have from Necro is Mindless Aggression or Commander of Darkness, and this leaves no room for Mistress of Sacrifice, so we're not focusing on block on this Occultist essentially, for the mid game at least. And of course, remember, if you want to switch the build from Necro to whatever, you have to switch the tree, you would have to switch the skills. These are all Occultists. This is Necro. High budget skill linking, I think, is still the same for the Necro and the Occultist, except, like I said, the temporal chains thing, remove that from the auras, use Tempest Shield. But other than that, all the linking should remain the same. I might add a high budget Necro just to make it very straightforward. And then you have to change it in items to whatever tree you're looking at, change it on all three of these places, and you would get like accurate numbers here and whatnot. But if you just change one, then you have very skewed numbers because they all use different equipment, they all need different stats here. So right now, like I said, I'm currently using poison. I have quite a way to go in terms of DPS, but I will say, like, now I'm comfortably clearing T14s, T15s, and even T16s don't feel like really bad. Jinx Juju helps with being tanky. The my auras of course help. Commander of Darkness, Bone Barrier is big in terms of tankiness. You feel the difference. And with that, I think that's about it. Only problem I have right now is Mana Flask. I'm currently using a Mana Flask on this build. I'm thinking of switching it out like it is in my POB, but I don't have a Soul Ripper, so I'm not really pressed about it. When I do get a Soul Ripper, I will be switching my Mana Flask out for it. But till then, I think I'm chilling. Once I get Charisma, that also helps with my reservation, and we'll see how everything goes overall. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.